We're on a mission from God.
On this episode of the Ministry of Motion Pictures podcast.
Yeah, I think the problem has been that we haven't encouraged filmmakers to increase and produce top quality faith and family films. And then if they're not being celebrated and promoted and distributed properly to a target market, then how do they get out there? So we're trying to connect the dots for everyone, including for ourselves. And in doing that for ourselves, we're bringing everybody along with us.
My guests in this episode are the organizers of the Canadian International Faith and Family Film Festival, also known as CIFF, which is held in Toronto every October. These two hardworking gentlemen are also filmmakers. They're Rafael Kalamat and Jason Barbeck. Making a film is tough enough, but to make films and run a festival, I can't imagine the work that's involved in that. But I can tell you that these men saw a need to provide a venue for Christian filmmakers in Canada, and they've been pouring their lives into this showcase event. I want to thank you, Rafael and Jason, for being here with me on this podcast. This is episode 22. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your film festival?
Well, this year is the third annual Canadian International Faith and Family Film Festival. It's better known as CIFF. And, we're thrilled and blessed to have such a wide variety of content. And we got started because we created a faith-based film called Adam's Testament. And that was a faith-based film we shot in 2015 and got released in 2017. And Todd, we realized that we didn't really have a platform for this type of film. Going to Christian and faith-based conferences and film festivals in the U.S., we realized quickly that we kind of fit into a box that is neither secular or faith-based because it's really edgy. So we created this festival out of the need to be able to showcase our film. But not only that, we realized that all these filmmakers, writers, producers, actors really didn't have a place to showcase their content either.
Huh.
And so being in Canada, there was nothing like it. So a few years ago, we decided to put this festival together here in Toronto. We started off the first 2 years at University of Toronto at the Film Studies building. They had a great facility. And then we moved on to the Hotel X, which is on the CNE grounds, and a great place for this to be an international festival. So now this year we've had 178 submissions from 23 participating countries, making this really an international film festival.
Wow.
And I really think, Todd, the world is ready for this type of festival. The stories of redemption, inspiration, courage, faith, and family. Our ministry is really being media missionaries. And it couldn't be possible without the support of our filmmakers, and that's why it's really taken off.
You hold this at the same time as TIFF, right? The Toronto International Film Festival. Or thereafter. Was that intentional?
It's really at the tail end of the film festival.
Yeah.
We want to be able to, maybe just tail off a little bit on the media that comes out and the people, but really it's a different type of festival. The time of year is perfect, September being a time of year where everybody's back at school and work, and the season is really great, so we thought it would be a great time to have it.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of people in town for TIFF, so, when I've been down there during TIFF, it seemed like a nice rollover into that.
No, absolutely.
The only challenge we have at this point is lots of times people's schedules are booked solid, wall to wall with these celebrities and their PR agents and screenings. So they really have them hustling around from venue to venue, and we've had a bit of spillover with media, but not too much. This will come when you have the bigger stars that come in. So, as soon as the media gets wind of, let's say, somebody, from Hollywood that's at our festival, they're going to want to know what's going on over there. And then that sort of will gravitate towards CIFF at the Toronto Hotel X, which is right pretty much downtown Toronto as well.
That's a great idea.
And certainly a lot of people, these aren't household names. So, some people are well known, like Kevin and Sam Sorbo and what they do. But we honor Canadian actors as well who participate in a lot of family films. We gave Graham Greene the Lifetime Achievement Award. Carrie Solomon and Chuck Osmond, who produced and wrote, God's Not Dead, and movies like that, we gave them a lot of encouragement by giving them the Lifetime Achievement Award in faith-based films, and they got it for Unplanned, which was starred with Ashley Blatcher, who won for Best Actress at our awards show. We had great movies like John Gruder's Tortured for Christ for Best for a Documentary, and we celebrate music videos and animation, short films. So we encourage filmmakers to submit their films and really get showcased.
What is it like now in the Christian film market? You guys are at sort of advantaged position to see what's happening, and what can you tell me about the market right now?
Well, it seems it's really growing because of things like the Kendrick brothers, who just came up with Overcomer, and they've just hit 34 million domestically, and they're just going worldwide now. You have the other one by Devon Franklin called Breakthrough. That's already hit 50 million. So, the appetite's there. The world is, clamoring for redemptive, feel-good stories that aren't just your typical soccer mom type Midwest films. These are getting a little more edgy, a little more mainstream. I mean, in fact, the film that won at our festival last year was called I Can Only Imagine, and that's done well over 120 million now.
Yeah,
and these films are made very modestly for like $5, $7, $10 million.
Yeah.
So they're doing quite well. And they start bringing in stars like, Jennifer Garner. There's people like Jim Caviezel and people like Mel Gibson who really make a splash in the industry. But what's changing right now is the quality of films that are coming out. And I think that's why the secular market, as we call it, they're turning their heads and seeing a better product. And these redemptive films really touch the heart. And so even though they're looking after the dollars, they're really seeing that the quality of films are going up because the accessibility to the technology and what's available right now. Festivals like ours are really making a splash also to celebrate these filmmakers. And they're saying, what's this over here? What's happening? And because we have a program like church screening program where we're able to showcase these films not only at churches but at educational facilities, colleges, universities, high schools, and community centers. The filmmakers are loving it because they get exposure, and distributors are loving it as well because we're getting their films out there through a licensing deal, and we're able to raise funds for our charity. And the church is raising funds for their facility, so it's really a three-way win situation. But I would love to see more animation, more films such as you worked on, Todd, like The Promise. Like we're looking forward to seeing that film in our festival next year. Canadian content would be great because we're not getting so much, and I don't want independent filmmakers to be discouraged to submit their films because of all these larger films and studios that are submitting, because we're really celebrating short films and independent filmmakers.
I think that whole this short film thing is a great place to begin, especially nowadays, because there's possibilities for life for these short films in the streaming marketplace that we've not seen before.
Yeah, some incredible films too. I mean, we were very impressed with the short film submissions this year from around the world, many different countries, and great themes. And people like that. They'll buy the short film package and they'll come in and spend an hour or an hour and a half watching shorts, music videos, anime, whatever it may be, and they range from 2 minutes to say 20 minutes. So there's a lot of really good content out there to tell your message, especially music videos too.
Yeah, this year we had a bunch of films. We were celebrating approximately 20 short films, and the other years we weren't able to showcase because of our time restraint, having the amount of cinemas where we were showcasing in 2 cinemas simultaneously for 12 hours a day, and so it's really hard to get all those submissions in. But short films give us the opportunity to showcase a lot of films. So we really wanted to celebrate that this year. We had a Canadian film called Three Feathers win this year, and that was really great. But there's some great films like My First Funeral, The Encounter, Shoot for the Moon, The Devil Goes Down. Right, Jason? These films people don't hear of on a regular basis. And we're developing a platform, much like Netflix or Kifflix, but for filmmakers called Kifflix. CIFF.ca, and that's our website. And we're trying to develop something where all these nominations, all these films that get submitted, have a place where they could live. because a lot of them just are going on the shelf and collecting dust. And the other categories, Jason, we've got Best Screenplay, Best Music Video, New Media, and then we celebrate things like Best Director, Best Lead Actor, Faith Achievement Award. So it'd be great. Next year we're doing it mid-September again, September 19th, and we're going to open up on a Friday night gala, mixer, registration, along with a full day on Saturday.
How many people did you have attending this last year?
We had just over 570 this year. The other years we had more people, but it was over a course of 3 days. So for a one-day festival this year, we wanted to give that a try, and so we hit a record attendance on a one day.
Oh, wow.
And we selected 50 films, 50 official selections, 30 screenings in 14 categories. So it was really great. So we'd love to have you out next year and have your listeners come out and enjoy this.
I hope we can make that happen. Rafael, tell me a little bit about you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Well, I'm originally from Montreal. I've been involved in film and theater for a number of years. Close to over 25 years I've been in film and theater. It's a multicultural city, and I've learned a lot growing up in Montreal. Where do I start? At the age of 9, I was auditioning for stage and film. Later went to Thomas Darcy McGee Center for the Fine and Performing Arts. I studied theater there for 5 years and continued my studies at Dawson College in film and communications. I tried working in every capacity possible, everything from an extra to a stand-in to working in the technical department. And that has given me a well-rounded appreciation and understanding for the film and theater industry. Then I moved into working and meeting Jason on set here in Toronto. We met on the set of, was it Flashpoint, Jason?
Yeah, Flashpoint.
Yeah, we met there, and then later on Murdoch Mysteries. We're both union producers and union actors with the Alliance of Canadian Radio Television Artists and the Canadian Media Producers Association. And we got together. We had a lot in common, started shooting reels for actors, reenactments, so they could have something on their reel, and moved on to writing and producing smaller shorts, and finally making our first feature film back in 2015 called Adam's Testament. So that's the Cold Notes version.
You guys are independent filmmakers trying to crack this nut.
You got that right. We've traveled quite a bit together as well, to everything from the American film market to the International Christian Film Festival. We have a seminar that we do called Conceive, Believe, Achieve. We talk about distribution, general business, writing, screenplay in the faith industry. And so we do a 70-piece slideshow talking about how the faith industry is involved. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and we just keep our T's crossed and our I's dotted with our charity that we work for, which is called the Artists in Christian Testimony International. They've been around for about 40 years and support artists in the industry. So that's our parent charity, and we developed the CIFF, which is the Canadian International Faith and Family Film Festival.
So tell me a little bit about that charity.
Yeah, Artists in Christian Testimony, Dr. Byron Spradlin started that about 45 years ago out of Franklin, Tennessee, and they branched off to Canada. So they have about, I believe they have about 250 charities connected to them, artists, and I think there's about 20 to 30, is that right, in Canada? And we're one of them. So basically, they're a charity that offer you an umbrella for smaller groups or artists, sculptors, writers, producers like us that are trying to build up on their own smaller charities. But, it's hard to start on your own, so they're helping people get started. And it's actually worked out quite nicely. They have something called a gathering every year where they all come together, and, and it's a lot of music and art. And now they've actually included a film segment to their festival there at the gathering. So when we came in under CIFF, so Canadian International Faith and Family Film Festival, and it's been been great so far. We're really getting a lot of awareness in our field and in Canada.
Yeah, Warwick Cooper heads up the division here in Canada with Patty Bowman Kingsley, and they really just mobilize artists and equip them for their innovative and unique ministries through the arts.
Huh.
So it's a not-for-profit. We're a non-denominational festival, so it's just open to everyone. And what that means is we all our films that are submitted, and we work on our Judeo-Christian value films.
Yeah.
And then we have the family portion films, which are just kingdom values, great films that people could come out with the whole family and see. So we love what we do, and we're thrilled to welcome people with open arms.
Jason, tell me a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm Jason Barbeck, one of the co-founders, co-directors, co-writers, co-producers of Adam's Testament. And I was born on the other side, far away, Windsor, Ontario, of southwestern Ontario. And I went to school for music theater, so I spent 3 years up at Sheridan learning that craft, and then spent about 5 years doing summer stock and singing and dancing my way across Ontario and hitting casinos and doing that kind of fun stuff until I got into the voice world and film and TV. And I did a lot of commercials endorsing major products like GM, McDonald's, things like that along the way. And it was really great. I developed my own home studio, so I was able to sort of do a lot of stuff from home. And the radio world was great, the voiceover world. I kept writing. I was always writing shorts and little projects. Adam's Testament was one of them. I wrote that back in '98 as a short, and it literally collected dust until I met with Rafael. And we had an opportunity to very quickly turn this short into a feature film screenplay so we could shoot it. So we spent about 2 months writing this into a feature, and then we just jumped into it. And because of budget, we basically wrote it ourselves and produced it and directed it ourselves. And because of the TIFF 1 program in Canada here with our union ACTRA, we were able to sort of bring in a lot of Canadian and some international artists for a very nominal rate that was conducive to our budget. And because they liked the script, they were on board. So we had about 30 casts in about 8 or 9 locations locally in Toronto, and including our own studio that we kind of makeshift built, and we were actually building as we were going. We had to have an interrogation office built in 24 hours, and that was pretty interesting, but it turned out great. So we did that, and then we tried to get our film into festivals, but it just wasn't happening, especially in Canada. It did well in the U.S. There's a couple of great festivals down there, Christian festivals. And we said, well, there's no festivals in Canada like this, so we need to start one. And we're both big fans of the film festival circuit, so we love traveling them and being part of it. So we thought, let's start one here. And it was very well received from year one. People just jumped all over it, and it's been growing ever since. So now year 3, we're at 177 submissions from over 22, 23 countries, and it's just growing. The awareness has been great. We've been on all kinds of shows, 700 Club, Huntley Street, a lot of radio, TV, lots of podcasts like this one here. And we love to travel to these festivals where we can set up our booth and engage with people live, so we can talk about what we do and try to get them enrolled in not just growing the kingdom, but learning about filmmaking. Because when you come to these festivals like ours, there's some great panels where you can actually hear it from the horse's mouth, like the distributor, the producer, the director, the writer.
Yeah.
And you're going to walk away with a wealth of knowledge, because that's how we learned, and that's how we still learn. We go to other events and listen to public speakers, and we take that knowledge back and try to give back to CIFF. So we're media missionaries, as it were. So
you're sort of missionaries to filmmakers first, because you're equipping them, right?
That's right.
And giving them a forum and a place to showcase their stuff.
Yeah, I think the problem has been that we haven't encouraged filmmakers to increase and produce top quality faith and family films.
Yeah.
And then if they're not being celebrated and promoted and distributed properly to a target market, then how do they get out there? So we're trying to connect the dots for everyone, including for ourselves. And in doing that for ourselves, we're bringing everybody along with us, and why not? It's a great way to do it. And we're thrilled to have our core sponsors like the Actor Fraternal Benefit Society. They're the underwriters for the Writers Guild of Canada and the Alliance of Canadian Radio Television Artists. And we have the Canadian Bible Society. That's our faith pillar, which has really been supporting us. And now we find that people are jumping in. Universities, other studios, distributors, they really want to be part of this. And it's amazing how much American support we're getting for our festival. So really great. Can't wait to jump on our next project. We're always pushing, we're always pitching, and we're really happy to team up with you, Todd, to be able to move forward in things in the future.
Yeah. And what's great is some of our sponsors, they really believed in us from the grassroots, like Canadian Bible Society, Redeemer University, like Rafael mentioned, AFBS, which is through ACTRA, and they just really supported us from the beginning, and they love to see us grow. Mm-hmm. So it's been really exciting to have them by our side, because in the beginning it's very, very tough to sort of get your name out there. People still say, "Who are you guys? TIFF? Never heard of you guys." And then others are like, "Oh, I've been seeing lots of stuff on you on radio, on news, whatever."
Well, one great example of that is Jason. Remember when we had the Israel Ministry of Tourism reach out to us this year out of nowhere and said they've been following us for the last 3 years and they want to be part of it. And so it's great to be able to have such support. So from the state of Israel, or turning on the TV and everybody calling us and saying, "You guys are on Hannity, or you're on Fox right now. They're talking about the festival." Things like that reassure us and confirm to us that we're on the right path, or we're doing the right thing.
It is intimidating for young filmmakers to think, okay, so I've made a film, or I'm going to go make a film. Who's going to see it? Where am I going to show it? Where it's going to get accepted? It's extremely intimidating. And
the one thing you need is stamina. I tell you, because you keep hitting these walls when you get into this marathon, from the writing to the producing to the shooting, when you're actually boots on the ground, on set, on location, and then to the post. The post is a whole other animal. Yeah. And then distribution. You have to see it through. You have to have the stamina and have the excitement not to get beat up, because you do get beat up a lot. Yeah. And a lot of rejection.
It is the most difficult art form to work in.
It is difficult. But I think, through the panels and workshops that we're offering and the fellowship that's happening at these events, be it here in Canada or in the U.S., the filmmakers are learning a lot in 1 or 2 or 3 days. And they're connecting with people. I mean, this year's panel had some great people on it. We had producers and writers and directors. We've had people like Cindy Bond, who was the producer for I Can Only Imagine last year. We had Sam Sorbo come out, who did Miracle in East Texas and Let There Be Light. And they talk about how difficult it is, but you need to network and talk to people, otherwise they don't know what you're working on.
Yeah, that's true.
You might get a lot of no's. I mean, Jason, how many no's have we gotten in our lives as performers and producers? But you need to keep on pushing, because when you get that yes, or you get the green light to work in some shape or form in the industry, it's very satisfying.
I'll continue my conversation with Rafael and Jason in our next episode as we turn our attention to the real-world realities of being an independent filmmaker in the faith-based space. You can find more information about CIFF in the show notes on the Ministry of Motion Pictures website. And looking ahead, Dr. Gary Bettison from Lancaster University in the UK will be with me to talk about the new Hollywood cinema of the late 60s and early 70s, and its filmmakers, which include Sidney Lumet, Richard Donner, Hal Ashby, Francis Ford Coppola, Roman Polanski, and many, many others. This is going to be a fascinating look into a recent and very revolutionary era of cinema history that we don't hear much about. Thank you for joining me on the Ministry of Motion Pictures podcast. You'll find show notes and more information about us at ministryofmotionpictures.org.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.